We're back. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the newest show. Excuse me for that, y'all. Newest show of Generations of the Game podcast. Of course, I am one of your co-hosts, JP, and of course, we got my man right alongside of me, the co-pilot. He's the point guard of the show, Will Lyons. What's going on, brother Will?
What's good, JP? We back, man, doing what we do.
We back doing what we do at the right time. Everything's starting to heat up, brother. It's starting to heat up because this is like Christmas time of the year for the sports fan because all the major sports are going on at one time.
Yep, gotta love it.
Even the NFL.
Gotta love
So, Will, you know what the meat and potatoes of the podcast going to be tonight, good brother. But let's start off with some of the NBA talk here, real quick. So we're going to jump right into it, y'all. Well, who do you have right now? We're going to get to this MVP race, as a matter of fact. Right now, who do you think is your top three candidates for the league MVP?
So, I mean, you see the hoodie, we know Shea's in there. He's been killing it. OKC got the best record in the league. The Joker, the stats he's putting up, man, it looks like somebody's playing NBA 2K on easy. And then my third candidate, man, first I'm gonna say it's not a slight to anybody. And there are other deserving candidates, but it's just for me personally what an MVP embodies, and that's Cade Cunningham, because you don't have the resurgence of the Detroit Pistons, especially with Jaden Ivey out, without the all NBA caliber basketball that he's been playing. You look at his numbers, there's only two active players averaging, like 25 and 9 assists or something like that. And that's the Joker, who's obviously on the list, and that's Cade. And, every night it seems like he's getting better and better.
Yeah, man. I watched that game last night against Miami, man. That game winner, Bam was on him in his face, swish. I was like, but Will, we see this talent coming for the last 5 or 6 years, good brother. From when he was in high school up through Oklahoma State. He's finally healthy and everything, and he's really showing you what he can do, man. And, people talk about faces of the game. I definitely think Cade Cunningham's going to be one of the faces of the game, brother. Because, he's really playing well. I agree with you. Your first two picks as far as the Joker and which was bad. This is a shame. I can't.
Yeah, SGA.
Yeah, SGA, man. Bruh, SGA's on a terror, bruh. This boy averaging what, 32 points a game?
Yep.
And he's shooting what, 51% from the field? Man, he's just so smooth when he plays, man. How do you see okay? And let me ask you this question. Because I've heard people mention this. Of course, other shows, pundits and stuff. Do you feel as though Jalen Williams is a legit number two option? I think he is, because some people were saying, well, he hasn't proven himself yet to be that dude as the second option. I think he is. What do you think, Will?
Of course, I feel like the discourse, people want to see it, in the playoffs, and I think we will. But, as far as the regular season is concerned, he's absolutely showed it. There's games whether, Shea is on or not, where Jalen is the one, leading, kind of the charge in the fourth quarter, and you got to also remember for a chunk of the season while Chet was out, he was playing out of position too, but still putting up all-star caliber numbers, checking fours, that's exhausting, having to really play defense, first of all, like they do, but actually guarding players bigger and stronger than you, for a chunk of the game.
Yeah, good analysis, brother. Definitely. He could do so many things, guard, like you said, so many positions for you and stuff. I feel as though they got the big three there, which is Holmgren, SGA, and Jalen Williams, man. And of course, you got the boy Dortch. It's a good four player. They're starting to get healthy, man. They're starting to really come around, good brother. They're really playing well. As far as the Joker goes, bruh, Joker one of the top five passers of all time. He's up there with the passing. I mean, this dude got he's like 6, 7 foot, but he got Magic Johnson like vision, man. When he passes the ball, it's
bro.
just amazing to watch this man just do these things on the court.
Bro, the Joker, if he walked in an open gym, I feel like, obviously, like talking about him if he wasn't in the NBA, outside of his height, nobody would expect anything. You probably would think it was more likely to catch him, chugging, a 12 pack of beer, and like you said, he's one of the most skilled players the game has ever seen, you
Mhm.
know, at like every facet offensively. And he's not the most athletic, but he's not a bad defender either. He understands where to position himself and all of that. He's one of the greats, man.
Yeah, he's a people don't give him credit for it. He's a great rebounder, bruh. He's
Hmm.
a great rebounder. What can you say? And his defense has gotten better. Excuse me. Moses Malone wasn't the most athletic player, but he was the best rebounder that I've seen in person, especially with the offensive end of the court, offensive rebounder that I've seen. Now, young Moses, when he first came to the league, I think that might be a little different story. When you talk about Moses 27, 28, 29 years old, he just knew how to play the game, how to position himself. It's the same thing as you said with the Joker. Joker doesn't position himself for the rebounds. He can shoot. You shoot the three ball. Not and he can control the boards, passing. He has it all. And I don't care what era it is, man. The Joker is great in any era, bruh. Any era.
Bro, he's you could argue he's even more deadly, in some of the eras of the past because he's doing this, and of course he gets the ball in the post, but he's doing a lot of damage and playmaking, on the fly, top of the key, dribble handoff, stuff like that. Can you
Mm-hmm.
imagine, him playing in an era where they just feed the post 50 times a game?
Man, and he's a great foul shooter too, bruh. That's
Hmm.
another thing. He shoots like what? 85% from the foul line.
Yep.
He's effective from the floor. He's going to shoot like 50, will give you 50% from the floor. He's going to give you 12 or 13 boards, 25 or 30 a night. You know, Anywhere from 8 to 11 assists a night. He's
Yeah.
going to do the ball, bruh. He's
Bro,
going to
it
do the
like you got the two most like triple double on a regular basis players on the same team, bro. Like him and Russ is like must see TV, man. I'm loving it, bro.
Yeah, and Denver. The people sleeping on Denver, bro. Don't forget, man. They got their talent there. They got a lot of talent. When they get healthy, they're gonna be a problem. I can't wait for the playoffs, man. Especially out west. Out west playoffs going to be crazy, bro.
Hmm.
It's going to be real. It's going to be looking real crazy this year.
All these two, depending on who Detroit matches up with, they might send somebody home in the first round.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you something right now. You don't want to play Detroit in the first round,
Nope.
you know. And I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna tell you one team who I think they could give serious problems to, fits to, and they're a good basketball team. They've had a lot of injuries, but they're a good basketball team. It's the Knicks.
Oh yeah.
I think
Yep.
they match up well with the Knicks. I
They
think
do.
they're physical. The Knicks are a physical team, but they're
Hmm.
just as physical, maybe even a little more physical.
Hmm.
And like you said, they have that guard. They got Cade Cunningham. That's gonna be some matchup, bruh. Him and
Hmm.
Brunson go at it, boy. That's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, Brunson, he's like not that tall, but he plays
Nah,
in the post a lot. He plays like a brand of bully ball, kind of almost like we haven't seen a point guard that embraces it like the way that he does. Of course Westbrook, but before that, you had Andre Miller, you had Sam Cassell, guards that really like being on the block. But
right.
you you can't do that against Cade. He's like way bigger than him. He has such an physical advantage.
Yeah. You're not gonna be pushing him around down that post, man. Because K
Nope.
like 6'8", 230.
Mhm.
You know, but you know the one thing that Jalen Brunson does have though, he got that shooting from the outside. So he'll be doing a lot of perimeter shots.
Oh
I mean, he's
yeah.
gonna go. Don't get it twisted. He's gonna go with it, challenge him now. He gonna try it. You know,
Mhm.
because Jalen Brunson got a lot of heart, bro. He gonna
No,
go
that's
amongst the
a fact.
trees. You know,
That's a
so
fact.
we're gonna see. And Jalen Doreen, man, he just look like a man child, bro. He's looking like how would I compare Jalen to Green to? He's looking like Bam out of bottle. He looks like him, and I'm about to say a name, man. People going to might kill me for it, but I'm gonna tell you who reminds me of a little bit too. He's had the ball handling skills like a little bit. The way he his leaping ability and explosiveness, he reminds me a little bit of a young Sean Kemp too.
Mm. I'll give you somebody in the middle of the two of them that he reminded me of since high school.
Who's that?
Amari Stoudemire, but Amari
Oh,
when he first got to Phoenix, not when he added in all the stuff, but young Amari when he was just tearing the rim off every chance he got.
that's what Jalen Doreen does. He
Mhm.
tears the rim off. Bro, let me tell you something. If Amari Stoudemire didn't get that micro fracture surgery, I mean, he had a great career after that, but he wasn't the same one. Let me tell you something, bro. That Amari Stoudemire right there, with that athleticism when he first came to the league, and you saw what started happening, especially in San Antonio series, bro. You talk about him as a power forward. Well, let me tell you something. If he remained healthy for his whole career, bruh, I don't know, man. I'm just going to say this: we might be talking about the best power forward ever if he remained healthy.
I mean, he would definitely, things would be a lot different. I can agree with that.
Yeah,
We got Dirk, we got KG, a lot of other guys, but the
Giannis.
conversation would be, yeah, Giannis is in there now. Like the conversation would definitely look different because he was dominant before he even figured the game out all the way.
Yeah,
He was giving the legendary Tim Duncan fits. So just imagine, him in his prime, no injuries. Man.
they were going at it. That was one of the best playoff series we see, man. As far as individuals going at each other, man. Because Amari, man, like you said, even back then, he was developing that mid range jump shot. Even back then, if
Man,
you remember.
I'll never forget that. You talk about the playoffs when they sent Robert Horry in to take out Steve Nash, bro. I will never forget that, man.
Yeah, man. That's back then. We could play with the grooves back then. You can send
Hmm.
somebody into the
Yep.
message. Yeah,
Man.
that was a hell of a series, though, man. As we reminisce for something back in the day, man, that was a hell of a series. Um, as we keep on to go, I guess with the NBA, we already went over the teams and everything about what we see out of the East, out of the West, MVP. We did all that stuff. So for right now, we covered basically the NBA, but as they say, shit's starting to heat up, bro. It's
Big
starting to heat
time.
up
Big
big
time,
time.
bro.
And all I can say is about my Philadelphia 76ers, let's keep it going. We want to get in that top three, top four. As I say, no hoops for Coop. That's the saying now. No, because I'm telling you, man, we get Cooper Flag in here. Oh man, everything they're
Man,
gonna be talking about the Sixers a lot, bro.
bro, they gotta go all in with the tank at this point.
They got to go in all with the tank. And I'm gonna tell you something else too, man. A couple players on that team that is showing out. First off, Justin Edwards, bruh, he could be a rotation player in Philly, bruh. As a
Oh
matter of
yeah.
fact, he could possibly even start. Well, we always knew the talent was there. The talent has
Hmm.
always been there. You know, even at Kentucky, he had his moments at Kentucky. And I feel as though he could have even gone in the first round, maybe late lottery, even mid to late first round. That's the type of talent he has. So the Sixers got to steal with him, and I don't know what's gotten into that Quentin Grimes, bro, but he's been tearing it up.
The thing about Quentin Grimes is that, so of course, your role isn't always the same, but if you look at Quentin Grimes' high school tape, that's exactly the player that he was. in high school in Texas. And then it was expected that he would be that, at University of Houston. I mean, he and at Kansas, he was decent, he was good, but like he didn't do all of that, of course. But to see him find his footing in Philly, man, he's been lighting it up, bro. Like, you know, you inject that in, you know, probably off the bench or something, next season with bringing back everybody healthy. If they don't blow it up like they could and possibly should,
They could.
man.
They could, but once again, everything falls on the big fella. We got to see what the big fella's going to do next year, what the big man's going to do. If the big
I,
man can stay healthy, and if they bring in one of the big three, which is, well, actually the big four, you got to put VJ Edgecombe in there too. If you bring back one of the big four, Edgecombe, um, Harper, Bailey, or Flag, but you especially get one of the big three, bruh. Sixers are there. Then you bring back Jared McCain healthy next year. Maxey healthy. Um, Paul George. There's been rumors about him going to Chicago, but you bring Paul George back next year, and they on a mission, brother. Philly can go far next year, brother. But like
I'm
you
gonna be
said,
honest though, bro. I don't want to be negative, but can you really make plans around and believe that at this point PG and MB will be able to remain healthy? I almost feel like you have to hope somebody's willing to offer you something decent in a trade and take whatever you can get at this point.
that's true. That's very true. I agree. But the thing is with Embiid though, you gotta let him know from the door. Next year you play no more than 55, 60 games
Yeah,
to keep
like
that health for.
forget the award and all of that.
Forget that. We already know that. We already know. We already know what you can do and what you've been doing. So that'll be a good thing. That'll be a good thing. To have him play a certain amount. But Will, let's get into it, brother. The meat and potatoes of tonight's discussion, and that is the NCAA tournament. Men's tonight, women's tomorrow. As always, we start with ladies first. Let's get into the women. And you know what? I am pissed off, bro. I did a men's bracket this year, but didn't do a women's bracket. Unbelievable. What? I have time, right?
I mean, it's a couple of the games tonight, like I think it's like an 11-11 game matchup,
Yeah,
yeah, and a 16 matchup. So technically, if you hurry up and do it, after this, you got it.
I got it. Okay, yeah, sounds good, brother. Yeah, okay, we still in the game. We still in the game. Let's see. Let's see, bro. Where do we start with? Who do you think is going to be the favorite, and who's going to be your sleeper team?
Hmm. I would say the favorite man. On my bracket, I got Florida winning it all. I just think
Oh
they
no,
have.
no, the women. I'm sorry, the women.
Oh, on the women's side, my bad.
Yeah,
On the
my
women's
bad,
side,
my bad.
man. Man. I have. Give me 1 second and pull this up, man. I have, bro. I got so many different things going on. I gotta go back to ESPN real quick. So I know I had South Carolina in
Mm,
there. I just think I know they took some losses, man, but they still, they're a hard team to beat, man. Looking dominant. Joyce Edwards taking the steps forward that she has as a freshman. With the guards they got. Bro, I got now. You gonna laugh, but low key, this is marketing for women's college basketball. I have the battle of the real USC in the championship. I got Juju and SoCal versus South Carolina, and I got South Carolina winning it all.
bruh, let me tell you something. I agree with you wholeheartedly. If the USC's play, The ratings are going to go through the roof. Juju played against USC against South Carolina for the first time. Man, that's going to be must see TV.
Mhm.
Must see TV. I got to do my brackets later, but if I had to pick my final four, it'll be the top four seeds. Well, you know what? Hold on. I gotta take somebody out. UConn's gonna be the team. UConn. I say UConn. Um, what bracket? Who's in UConn's brackets? I know UConn's a 2 seed. Who's in their bracket?
I want to say USC is, but hold on, let me confirm. Yeah,
Ooh.
UConn, Kentucky, USC, all in the same bracket, man.
Man, they socked it to USC. I'm
Yep.
still going with USC. The reason why I'm going with USC is because they beat UConn at UConn. But
Hmm.
that's going to be a tough game for USC. That's going to be a real tough game. That
My
could go either way, but I'm sticking with USC.
my final four, I got UCLA, USC, South Carolina, Notre Dame.
You know what? I'm going. I'm gonna go USC, um, South Carolina, UCLA, and Texas. I think the top four seeds make it, man. Texas is tough too. They I feel as though they've been underrated. Their defense is phenomenal. And to win it all, I'm with you, man. I think South Carolina has gotten hot at the right time. Texas beat them. You see what happened at the SEC tournament. They came back and blew the doors off them.
Mhm.
Um, UCLA, they could win it all. It depends on bets because they get the ball to bets down in the post. They've been playing hot too. USC, of course, been hot. But it's hard to beat a team 3 times in a year, man. But
Oh yeah.
I'm
Hey, JP, real quick, we got a surprise for the people. You know, we talking March Madness. Of course, we had to tap in and bring in one of the homies. You know, a regular of the show, friend of the show. You know, the good brother Kevin Lucas. What's good, brother?
What's good, man? How y'all doing? I'm glad to see
Yo,
y'all.
what's up, Kev? How you doing, bro?
I'm great, man. I'm great. I'm glad to be back, man. How y'all doing?
We
Doing
doing
good.
good, man. You know what we talking about, bro? March Madness is here. It's that time of year.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
you right on time, Kev. Man, we talking. You know, who you think will make it to the Final Four on the women's side?
Yeah, man. So looking at the bracket, I mean, I definitely got to go with USC. I think,
Hmm.
they've been playing great this year, in my opinion. I know they've been getting a lot of criticism for, Juju being dominant and all this and that, but I think defense travels more than anything, right? And defensively, I mean, they've been one of the best teams in the country. So I got to go with SC. And then the region, the Spokane region with UCLA is kind of killing me right now just because I love UCLA and I told people about UCLA going into the year, but their guard play has been kind of inconsistent. They've been kind of inconsistent towards the back end of the season, but I really like NC State, but I'm gonna go UCLA. I'm gonna lean UCLA for now. Then I'm gonna go Carolina, of course. Don, all them horses they got out there, Chloe Kiss, Joyce Edwards, Raven, Tahina Pow. They just got too much firepower. They're one of the best teams in the country. And then out the Birmingham region, I'm gonna go with Notre Dame. I just don't trust Texas, if I'm being honest with you guys. Like I love the team, big Vic Schaefer fan, but to me, when I look at Notre Dame again, they're another team that's kind of been struggling towards the back end of the ACC conference play and even in the ACC tournament. But I think when you have two guards like Hannah Hill Doggo and Olivia Miles, shout out to Jersey, and the rest of that team, with Maddie Westbeld, and I think Sonia Citron is one of the biggest X factors in the country. So I think they're going to get right, and I think Neil Ivy's going to get them right for this tournament. So again, I got my two schools out here: USC, UCLA, Carolina on the East Coast, South Carolina Dons, Gamecocks, and the Notre Dame Lady Fighting Irish.
Yep. Kev, we actually got the exact same Final Four. I agree with you on Texas. I think I know what you were saying, JP, but from what I've seen, every time I watch them, they're just very inconsistent. And
Mm-hmm.
Maddie is she's like an all world talent, but she takes so many tough shots. I just I couldn't bet money, like, if we're talking hypothetically, like I can't bet money on the brand that they play. Like they technically can beat anybody, but anybody can beat them
Right.
too, you know. And Rory,
You know what?
Rory, she's still getting back, but she got to show me some more, man.
You know what? I'm gonna switch my pick. You're right. Notre Dame has a little more firepower with the guard play with Miles, Hana Hidalgo. Yeah, y'all made me change my mind. I'm gonna go with the Fighting Irish, bruh. I'm definitely going with the Fighting Irish in the Final Four because those guards, they had the best backcourt, not in women's college basketball, but college basketball. Period. It might be the best backcourt in basketball. So yeah, bruh, I'm about to go with Notre Dame. You're right. You're right about that backcourt, man.
My brother Kev always pop up right on time.
Right on time. Always on time, Ken. Always on time, bro.
Hey, real quick before we move on, Kev, what's your expectations for Michigan State's women's team?
Man, honestly, I mean, I think the main thing is win a game and then see where it goes from there because I think Coach Freilich has done a hell of a job, right? I mean, this been a tough job historically. Like I love Susie Merchant, but the back end of her tenure there was kind of rough. But to me, I mean, I think the turnaround. I think we finished 6th or 7th in the Big Ten this year. I want to say, but defensively, we're one of the best teams in the Big Ten. So I think they do a lot of full court pressing. They do a lot. They do zone. They do man press. And defensively, they just get a lot of teams stifled. And offensively, it's kind of been weird because our two best players between Julia Arod and Grace Van Sloten, they kind of take up the same space in the low post area. So it's kind of hard to balance out those two offensive scores, but they managed it. At the beginning of the season, they kind of started together. And as the season went on, they put Van Sloten off the bench and she's kind of been in and out, the starting lineup. But I think we should beat Harvard. Shout out to Harmony Turner. She's been amazing. She's been one of the best players in the country, not just in the Ivy League, but in that entire, Lady Crimson team out there. But I think we can win that. And then the thing to me is that I think we can give NC State a game if we both advance. Honestly, like NC State is a tough matchup, but their guards are tough. We know what Isaiah James could do. We know what Sanaya Rivers can do. Like they have dogs, but I just think the way that we play defensively, we can win that game and potentially get to a Sweet 16. But me personally, I don't ever like to overlook my first opponent. I know as fans, we like to kind of just think about like the path to get to where we need to get to, but I don't like looking at the next opponent. I'm whoever we got lined up right now is who we need to focus on. So I'm focused on beating Harvard, and I think that's going to be an amazing game on Saturday. So I think Sweet 16 potentially, but me personally, I just want to win the game because again, you got to build to get to the heights that Don Staley's gotten to, the heights that Gino's gotten to. So I think it'll take time. I'm not saying we're going to be that great eventually, but I just think we're slowly but surely turning back into a respectable program.
I agree with you, man. Listen, bro, they made strides as you already know, but like we used to joke about it, you know what I'm saying? But now, like, you really gotta respect, when the Lady Spartans is in town.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Coach Freilich. She was at Bowling Green for a few years, and she just a winner. Like when you hear a lot of players, talk about her, they always ask the first thing. She just knows how to win. I think getting her was a game changer because you can just tell she understands not just her players of this generation, but just the entire landscape of college basketball and where it's headed to. So, big shout out to her. I mean, early in the season, we beat Vanderbilt. You see what Vanderbilt has turned into, right? Vanderbilt's been sneakily one of the best teams in the SEC. And we beat a couple other good teams too. So, yeah, the shout out to Coach Fraley, man. She's been doing her thing.
Man, speaking of Vanderbilt, again, shout out to Jersey, man. Michaela Blake's, man,
Jersey
amazing freshman campaign.
Yeah, man. I mean, well, she's had what 2 50-point games, I think.
Yeah, bro. You've been
Like
going crazy.
that's like I don't think people understand how hard it is to score in the college game. Like, of course, like the NBA, the WNBA are really like the top tier talent. But at the end of the day, it's not. It's catered towards offense. The college game is not catered towards offensive scoring. So, like you have to be really creative as a scorer. And scoring 20 is one thing. Scoring 30 is a whole other thing. Getting to 40 and 50 is crazy. And let alone doing it on separate occasions in the SEC, which we see from top to bottom is the best league in the women's college basketball game.
Yeah.
Is crazy. So big salute to Michaela Blakes because she's been doing her thing. And honestly, that Vandy team too is really good out there in Nashville, Tennessee. So, salute to them for sure.
Facts. Go ahead, JP, good brother.
Oh no, I'm saying, man. I'm just listening to what your brothers are saying. I agree. I think Vanderbilt's gonna be one of the sleeper teams. I'm gonna tell you another team that's gonna be a sleeper team. I'm not saying they're going to go that far, but I think give a couple of teams some problems. That Norfolk State women's team.
Mm-hmm.
I think they give some people some problems, man. What's the girl? Diamond? I forget her
Yeah,
last name. You know what I'm talking
Diamond
about?
Johnson. Yeah, Diamond Johnson.
Yeah, man. She was a phenomenal player when she was at high school.
Yep.
And I think the talent that can win you a game in the NCAA tournament.
They got a big too. That's a real problem.
Yeah, they could. I think they could make some noise in this turn. Now, what seed are they?
I think they're 16. They always like a 16. They do the HBCUs dirty.
And who they have in the first round?
They have. Hold on 1 second. If Kev don't beat me to it, let me see. Thought they play tomorrow. They must play Saturday. They play Maryland. No, they had 13. They actually got some respect. Yep, they had
Oh yeah, they
13.
play Maryland. That's gonna be a good game. I think that's a good matchup for them.
That's gonna be, they can
Now
win that game.
that's a winnable game. They can win that
That's a
game.
winnable game.
And I
Mm-hmm.
know we give, friend of the show, Coach Jones, a lot of love and respect. Of course, he do that. You know what I'm saying? But Coach Vickers, man, he had that program humming for years now. As well. They're just as dominant on the men's side as they are on the women's side.
Yeah, when I do my brackets tonight, I'm definitely going with Norfolk State over Maryland. Matter of fact, I might put a little bit of money on that game, actually, to be honest with you. I
Yo,
might put a
Kev,
little bit of money on that, bro.
JP either gonna be buying a new car or he gonna be homeless, bro. He keep coming up with these bets.
I ain't got money like that, bro. I put a nice $10 to $20 bet down. That's all I'm gonna do. $100. Give me $300 or $400. I'm good. I'm telling him, run me my money, man. That's what I'm gonna tell him. When Norfolk State beat Maryland, run me my money.
No, that should definitely be a hell of a game. I'll definitely be looking forward to that. I think it's an interesting contrast of styles right there. Maryland, they're super talented, but I feel like they haven't really put it all together quite yet.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's kind of been like the underlying thing for the past few seasons out there in college sport. But like y'all mentioned, Norfolk State, they got a few dogs out there, and I think they're more than capable of winning this game, as y'all mentioned. So I'm gonna definitely be looking out for that one.
Absolutely, man. Shout out to the
Yeah,
HBCUs, man.
definitely. Definitely. With this craziness going on right now, you might see more players even going there. You never know, man.
Facts.
Why
You
not?
never know. Why not? Why not? All right, you all want to move on to the men's side now?
Yeah, bro, go for it.
Okay. Well, let's start. What we want to start off with? The upset. There was one upset today in college basketball. Clemson going down to McNeese State. Man, there's a lot of brackets. I'm sure they've been busted already on the first day. And it was
See,
crazy. Go ahead, Will.
I was gonna say that is like as far as like seeding, that is an upset. But man, I shouldn't have given the ACC any faith, man. But Louisville, man, that's who started off my bracket.
I had Creighton.
Me too.
And
I like.
let me tell you why I had Creighton. Because Creighton got that big man in the middle, and Louisville's not that big of a team. And I
Oh
saw that as
man.
being a serious problem for him.
See, I looked at it like Chucky was gonna go crazy, and he did have a good game, but it's just him, And I can't think of their number two's name, but he ended up getting some buckets during the stretch, to try to close the game, but bruh, it wasn't even remotely like competitive, man.
I mean, to
That's
me, oh, my bad. Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say that shit was sad, bro. Go ahead, Kev.
I mean, yeah, that's my thing is It's tough because I don't really like to judge coaches too harshly based off their first season in their new situation, right? So what Pat Kelsey did this year, if you're just taking a step back and not viewing it strictly from the tournament, I mean, Pat Kelsey had one of the best turnarounds in all of college basketball this year. I mean, the past few seasons, Louisville has literally been down in the dumpsters, right? So for them to finish, I think they finished like second in the ACC, if I'm not mistaken. That's
Yeah.
a major turnaround. But going into this game, as JP mentioned, I just knew that, Ryan Kalkbrenner has been one of the most dominant big men in all of college basketball the past 5 years. And you look at Creighton, well, I've been talking about Creighton for what feels like the last like 4 or 5 years.
Yep.
The way that they scheme up their offense, the way that they free up their shooters, and the way that they just play at their own pace 24/7. Like, you rarely see them get rattled. You rarely see them get flustered. And it's a team that's just been there before. And that's kind of always my thing going into it with like teams like Louisville. Yes, they're really good, but they haven't played together that long. You know what I'm saying? Creighton has a core infrastructure of dudes that have been together for multiple seasons. And you've seen today, Jemiah Neal's only been there for 1 year, but he was killing. He was the best player on the floor, in my opinion. He had 29 points, right? So I just thought that, from the jump, I like Creighton in this game. And a lot of people were saying how Louisville was underseeded and all this stuff, but you could tell that the committee just did not respect the ACC this year. And it's unfortunate because historically, the ACC, in my opinion, probably y'all would agree with this, is a top 2 conference with the Big East all time. You know what I'm saying? So it was tough to watch them go out like that, but nonetheless, Louisville had a great year. Creighton was just a better team at the more opportune time.
Couldn't have said it any better. Man, shout out to Quadir Copeland, man. McNeese State, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Definitely. That's the name we've been mentioning for years. Yeah. Been talking about him for a minute.
Oh, I'm sorry. My bad, Kev. My bad.
Good.
Sorry about it. Oh, where did Quadir Copeland play at? What high school did he come from? He's from what, St. Anthony somewhere?
He went to a few of them. I actually knew about Quadir, man, because he dude Royce Castro from Lawnside, he used to train him. And he started doing his thing. I saw he was like rising, he was like a 3-star and stuff. And then he ended up at Syracuse. And he was coming on there, but then he hit the portal with Will Wade. But he's originally from Philly though, Quadir. That kid, man, he's 6'6", legit 6'6", explosive. Can handle the rock, man. Pass it when he wants to. Yeah, he gonna get paid to play somewhere. I know that.
You see, Will Wade already got his contract signed with NC State.
Nah, so they saying he ain't signed it though. He got the offer, but they saying he didn't sign it. Yeah, I think there's another big money opportunity that I feel like he's waiting to see if it opens up.
Who's that?
Texas just lost.
They can't get rid of their coach after. Yeah, after 2. Come on, man. I mean, he should at least get 3. I know, but I wouldn't like that, man. Give the man at least 3 or 4 seasons, man, to turn this thing.
So listen. Do I agree with your logic as far as my own personal preference? Yes. But look what just happened to Kyle Neptune, right? And I'm not comparing their records or anything, but you have to look at it from 2 standpoints. From one, just the standpoint of where we are. This isn't college basketball 10 years ago. You literally can build a roster in the off season, with NIL. And he had players, they got Trey Johnson, big time player. They went and got Kaluma. They had was it Shedrick? Like, they had some players, man. But they lost some games they shouldn't have lost, like yesterday even. And the type of money that Texas puts into their athletics, man, they're not settling, man. They're not, like, and I would say typically, what's it gonna hurt? Let them have another year. But I don't even think they have any like big time players like coming in right now. So unless you hit the portal hard and have success, I don't even know what the outlook is for basketball next year. Trey's gone, obviously. So once you factor that in, and then that Will Wade is a potential option, man, I would throw him whatever it takes, bro, to get him to be the next coach of the Texas Longhorns.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna tell you something, man. I've been to University of Texas. The facilities down there, man.
Crazy, huh?
Look, look, I went down there. I don't even, you know what I mean? I don't even play sports like that. If I was a recruit, I'm like, man, I'm ready to side with them right now. That's how good the facilities look down there,
Bro,
man.
they got better facilities than some of the pro teams.
They do.
Mhm.
They do. Man, I can see why them kids go to Texas, man. Their facilities are unbelievable. The people down there are amazing. Like, you know, I met they're very nice in Austin, man. Very nice people in Austin, Texas. Clean city, one of the cleanest cities I ever been to, man. You know, so I can see why KD went down there, man, and other players and stuff, man. Texas is that environment's crazy, bro. The
I'm gonna tell you,
environment,
I couldn't play in Texas. I would be acting like Zion, bro. All that good barbecue down there, man. I'll never be able to get back on the court.
Oh man.
you ain't. Let me tell you something, man. That Texas barbecue is serious, boy. You got that Ruby's barbecue. They got it. They got it. They actually, yo. I'm telling you, you can ask JJ about that because JJ took me there. We were down in Austin. Yo, they have a bucket with a mop, and they sit up there and put the sauce
Oh
on
yeah,
that with
that mop sauce, that's real. Hey
that mop
Kev,
sauce.
that'd be the perfect NIL deal, bro. Instead of a Gatorade commercial, people would think it's a
Yep.
Gatorade commercial, bro. They bring me a slab of ribs on the sideline.
Man, them ribs, boy,
A
woo,
brisket,
But
man.
see,
Listen, bro. Like,
that brisket.
but see, that's the thing. I think going back to what you said, I think when you look at Texas and UNC Villanova, they're not really trying to wait on coaches like that, right? Because of the resources that they put into them programs. Like Texas, we know Austin, Texas is like a tech capital right now in the world, right? If we're just talking in general. So again, I don't necessarily agree with Rodney Terry getting fired and getting let go, but I understand a lot just because, as Will mentioned, they've had players. I mean, you look at that roster they got down there this year. That team should have been nowhere near a playing game, in my opinion. They should have been like
yep.
a 5 seed minimum. And when you have a talent like Trey Johnson, that amplifies everything. That amplifies the expectations, and it's tough. And I think the trickiest thing is who's going to take the job because even if I'm Will Wade, I think honestly, I think he fits better at an NC State. I think he fits better in an underdog role where
I agree.
you're not the top tier program in your state, but he loves to compete against the Dukes and the Carolinas and the Wake Forests and just everybody else in the ACC. And you look at the ACC too. I mean, the opportunities there. We just talked about Louisville, right? Pat Kelsey came in year one and finished second place. Why can't Will Wade do that at NC State? You know what I'm saying? You look at Texas. Yeah, Texas is a great job. But you in the SEC, you got to worry about Cal and Bruce Pearl and Rick Barnes and Eric Musselman and all and Nate Oates and all these guys, right? Not my bad. But again, I'm not one of those like I love the competition. So I'm not saying he should run from the competition. But I'm just saying if you want to go and win at a high level quicker and faster, NC State's probably a premier job. And of course, y'all know too historically, North Carolina has some of the best basketball talent ever, right? From any just individual space. So I think Will Wade would kill them there. But I don't think he can go wrong here. But he can go anywhere and win. We've seen that today with McNeese and that upset win over Clemson is alma mater too, by the way.
Yeah, I agree. I think NC State, like you'll get some recruits just off the strength that they want to play against Duke and Carolina. So that's a win in itself. And then going back to like Rodney Terry, Kyle Neptune, and some of them, I think it highlights something that we've talked about before, but I think we got to bring back. Going back to Kenny Payne, right? You have a lot of coaches that excel in that that number two role when really it's not about your X's and O's. Your job is to be that recruiter that can, tell the kids how you can envision them at the program and, tell them whatever you got to tell them to get them to campus. It's a different ball game when all the responsibility falls on you. And the other part of it too, a great recruiter is important, but it's easy. I'm not gonna say it's easy, but when you're the lead recruiter for an elite coach or a big name coach, that's a different situation because you as Coach Cal's assistant or you as whoever's assistant is a different look than it is now you head coach with no record, that's trying to sell, or you as a head coach that's trying to sell me to join this struggling roster. So I know that everybody wants to be the man and to get that check, but there's a reason that it's a short list of guys that go down in history.
Good point.
Fact.
Very good points. We see with the NC State coaching change. I wasn't really cool with that neither because and this who's the coach at NC State that just got yeah, he just took him to the Final Four last year, and this year you turn around and fired him, man. I mean, they ain't been in the Final Four what 40 years. Just Jim.
He should have had another 3-4 years, bro, to ride off of that Final Four appearance.
Yeah, I mean, they ain't been in the Final Four in 40 years. Shit, NC State ain't been relevant what since really what since the late 80s, early 90s.
Man, they ain't been, bro. Sidney Lowe was playing basketball the last time we were talking about them, bro.
You're right. Shoot, Jim Valvano was coaching the last time they were relevant.
R.I.P.
They were. Ain't no David Thompson coming through that door, man. David Thompson was 50. Yeah, David Thompson was 50 over 50 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Barber not walking through them doors.
Nah. The one player they did have though was my man Smith. I forget his. You know what I'm talking about.
Dennis Smith Jr.
Dennis Smith.
Yeah. I thought that was going to turn the corner with him.
Well, they just knew he wasn't going to be there long, man. Like when you think about it, like they've been able to recruit like in-state talent. They got C.J. Leslie to stay there. Like they've had some players, but it just
DJ Warren.
it never. Yeah, like it just never. It's never enough with what they're competing against.
Yeah, that's just what it comes down to. But I think again, with Will Wade, that can change everything. Like,
absolutely.
Overnight,
he goes there, it's a whole different situation.
Mm-hmm. So again, to me, it's more so about these universities just adapting. Like some schools just look at themselves as small schools, but I think NC State genuinely wants to be in competition with Duke and Carolina. You know what I'm saying? They're never going to have the same success. They're never going to be looked at in the same light when it comes to being a blue blood, obviously. But again, just when you look at the ACC, right? K just left not too long ago. Roy Williams just left not too long ago. Jim Boeheim just bowed out. Tony Bennett, retired before the season started practically. And then Leonard Hamilton just left the game. You know what I'm saying? So it's like the ACC is wide open. I didn't even mention Jim Larinaga, right? He just left. So it's like the ACC is wide open for the taking. And that's why, again, you see Louisville capitalize on that. And with Will Wade, I mean, he can legit build a monster out there. And again, it's really just about evaluating the transfer portal, making sure you get NIL resources first and foremost, which I know he'll do. And then the second thing is, like you mentioned, Will, you got to be able to pluck some of those local kids that are willing to just go. And I think he can do that. And they had some on the roster this year. It's just, I agree with JP with Keats. My issue with it is that, again, you took them to a Final Four last year, right? And for y'all to just fire him after this season, yes, it probably didn't go as they expected, but at the same time, that means in the back of y'all heads, in the back of y'all minds, y'all knew y'all wanted to fire Kevin Keats. So you should have just did after he won it last year. You know what I'm saying? Why even waste his time and just give him another year when you wasn't trying to build with him? So I didn't agree with it, but I understand it to a certain extent. But I mean, again, if Will Wade's out there, that's a major upgrade with all due respect, in my opinion.
Honestly, man, like these schools are lucky that making the right coaching hire, recruits are going to ignore what just took place because on a personal level, it's like just like the NBA, like depending on what happens in a franchise, like it make you not want to play there.
Man, yeah.
Y'all did this coach filthy. You know what I'm saying? And y'all expect me to come here, but of course, like, yeah, kids are gonna want to play for Will Wade, or whoever else, and especially kids that maybe in this next year maybe would have more of an opportunity than they typically would, when he has 2-3 years in, but I like we gotta have some patience. I get it with the portal and everything, man, but I remember when we grew up, man, you actually had to have a bad team to get fired. You know,
Yup.
now it don't even mean that. Like it's just like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
like they ain't make a deep enough run. Like what? You know, I don't think all of these ads and especially the fans understand. You know, some of these coaches is Hall of Famers, but got one championship. Some of them have none. You know,
Exactly.
like it's hard, bro. Like it's hard. Like that's why it's celebrated the way that it is.
Yeah, I agree. Like you
And,
said, some coaches Final Fours, been a lot of Final Fours stuff. They have zero. Now I think people understand getting to the Final Four is hard.
oh
Like,
yeah.
that's an accomplishment in itself. People don't respect the Final. Oh, well, this one never won a championship. But damn, he's been to 3 or 4 Final Fours. What difference does it make?
Mhm. Exactly.
You know, the expectations and what people want is just crazy. It's crazy. It's like the Villanova job. I mean, Kyle Neptune did turn the program around. Maybe not the accelerated pace they wanted to, but he was turning around. And it's hard to come in and come behind somebody
Yep. Like Jay
like,
Wright.
like Jay Wright, man. Jay
Mm-hmm.
Wright, he been to what, four Final Fours, won 2 national titles. I mean, you come up behind somebody like that,
Yep.
I wouldn't want that job. I wouldn't want that. Like, yo, I'm coming behind a legend, one of the best coaches in college basketball history.
The
Mm-hmm.
problem, the problem with some of these situations is that when you're handpicked as a successor, especially for the black assistant coaches, I feel like they look at it through the lens that if they don't take this job, they may not get one, or it's
Facts.
going to be a job where they'll never succeed anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Like look at where KP was before he went to Louisville. Like that. A lot of times, no matter what you do, those are the roles people get. And I'll give you another example. I don't think he's necessarily looking around, but we talk about it all the time. Coach Jones is one of the best coaches in the country, bar none.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you telling me now, maybe somebody did try to, pull him from NSU. I don't know. But as far as I know, you know what I'm saying, it's never happened. And when you look at his track record, how? You know what I'm saying? Like you don't even make an offer. You know what I'm saying? Like if I'm a
Mm-hmm.
program that maybe I just know it's not the most appealing job. Like I'm not the University of Texas, but I want to compete. That'd be one of the first people I'm calling. You know what I'm
Facts.
saying? I know he can build a program, with limited from whatever resources we give him. You know what I mean? But a lot of times you see it, man. The assistants they end up wherever. Some of these guys, whether they're former pros or whatever, like you might end up at a Alabama State, Georgia State, whatever, and hope you can win your way out of there. But a lot of times, you in these situations where that's not happening. It's just not.
That's a good. That's a very good point, man. Very good point you just made right there. Very
You know,
good.
I want to add on to both y'all points real quick before we get back to today's games. Is that in this coaching thing, right? I mean, you look at. I'll give 3 examples. My Coach Izzo, Jay Wright, as y'all mentioned, and even Scott Drew at Baylor. Like they didn't just walk into their separate situations and just win off the bat. Like they had to build towards that. You know what I'm saying? And that's the main thing. You got to build towards these things. And again, I understand that administrations, athletic departments, the fans, they want to just figure it out overnight. And especially when you see a lot of coaches figure it out overnight. But I'd rather build something sustainable and kind of be down year one than have a great year one and then just go downhill from there. And that's the issue you see with a lot of coaches. They figure it out they put it together year one, they win a lot of games, and then they're never the same. They never get back to that level. But again, it's about building something sustainable and able to do that. In order to do that, shall I say, you got to give these dudes time. You know what I'm saying? And again, like Jay Wright didn't figure out Villanova overnight.
Mm-mm.
Scott Drew has been at Baylor for 20 years, 20 plus years. Izzo, he struggled like his first few years and he put it together, but he wasn't amazing, when he got there. So it's just, again, I'm with Will. You got to give these dudes time, man, because that's just the name of the game. If you really want to build something that lasts and that's a consistent threat year in and year out, you got to give people time to really build their foundation, their program.
I
Yeah.
agree. I agree. And that's a very good point you just made right there. I mean, I've even heard people say this year. I remember on social media, man, some fool was talking about oh, they should fire Tom Izzo. What?
Yeah, I
What?
seen that too.
Man, been to 7 Final Fours, won a national championship, and you talk about getting rid of him because he ain't been in the Sweet 16 or Elite Eight in the last two years or so. This is what I'm talking about. You got to be out of your damn mind.
Now, Kev, like what I'm about to say is gonna sound crazy, but I know you'll understand. Tom Izzo could take the three of us and two other dudes off the street, you know what I'm saying, and make a run in the tournament, bro. Like, I don't think the casuals understand what Izzo has done. You know, like yeah, over the years he's gotten some players that was like, known recruits and everything, but overall, he really develops talent. He gets guys, year 3, year 4, and they really turn up. Like even the 5 stars that he's had, like only a few of them were like ready right away. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of them, he's one of the few coaches I feel like now that really still develops players, man, and it shows, man. Like, bro, Izzo is a coach that I would never disrespect Izzo, bro. Like, we joke about a lot of different guys and teams, but Izzo, he got my utmost respect. I think part of the problem is that he's been there so long. I think people just wrap him up with the old guard. But Izzo's still successful, man. And I would say he's navigating the changes, NIL, the influx of international players and everything. I feel like as best as he can, considering that he and Rick, I feel like they've adapted as
Yep.
best as anybody, from
Yup.
their like generation.
Hmm.
Because a lot of them other dudes, like you name, man, like we had like 6, 7 Hall of Fame coaches, like say fuck it in the last like 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I throw Kelvin Sampson in there too,
Yep,
because
Kevin's still doing it. Yep.
and that's
That's
another
my
that's
coach, bro.
exactly, and that's another one, like JP mentioned, hasn't won the national championship yet, but imagine had Indiana kept him, where they'd be at right
Man,
now.
bro,
Instead, I think they've had probably like 5 different coaches since him or something like that. You know
bro.
what I'm saying? Over some stupid phone calls that wouldn't even really be a violation nowadays. But
Right.
um,
And, and Kev, another thing too, he started
mhm,
to get the recruits now too. You see the recruiting class he got coming in
yep,
next year. He started
mhm,
to get the recruits now too. So
yeah,
you add that with what he got, man, that he might win something soon. He might win something
I
soon.
agree. I've been rooting for him to win it multiple years. He's been right there. He was in the national championship game in 2021, or he was in the Final Four 2021. He's
Mm-hmm.
been close a few different times. I like him this year. I know we'll get in the Final Four picks in a minute, but yeah, man, that's another coach where he's. I know we overuse his word a lot, but he's definitely established his culture. He has his foundation. Houston is a family program. He gets
Mm-hmm.
his type of players, whether they're 5-star, 2-star, 1-star. He knows how to identify his type of players that fit and can maximize and develop in his system, and it works for what he does. And yeah, man, to me, that's one of the best coaches in the country year in and year out, and it's been like that for the past damn near decade now.
No doubt. He's definitely and he built that Houston program up from ashes.
Yep,
That's another
facts.
thing. People forgot about Houston. After five Slammer Jammer and stuff, they had some lean years, man. But he's brought them back to where Houston's a powerhouse again. And Houston should be a powerhouse. That means they got a lot of great facilities down there too, and the weather and everything. A big city, major city, man. They should be a powerhouse. And he's the right man for it.
Bro, they getting that 5 Slammer Jammer NIL now.
They getting that. They shoot. Can you picture how much Elijah Ryan would get nowadays if they were around right now?
Man,
Man, it'd be in the millions.
easy.
It'd be in the million. Yo, you know what? Let me ask y'all this question. I've seen this thing floating around here, man. I think the kid is nice. He's good, but people are comparing Derek Queen to the Joker. Okay, maybe some physicality. We got to talk about all aspects of the Joker's game. Passing, he's not. Nobody is Joker when it comes to passing. That's why I don't see the comparison. And a lot of Derek Queen's game is on the inside. The Joker can shoot. I mean, he got legitimate 3-point range. But I think Derek Queen is being underlooked. and he should be, in my opinion, a lottery pick. But I just don't get. I just don't see the Joker Derek Queen comparisons. I see Derek Queen being Derek Queen.
Yeah, I
Well,
don't really like to compare. I don't really like to throw the comparisons of, first ballot Hall of Famers on 19, 18-year-old kids because I just think it's unfair. And we see it year in and year out with all these quote unquote generational labels that get thrown on these kids from a young age. You look at Amani Bates, to me, as like a premier example, right? And to me, Derek Queen is amazing. I definitely think Derek Queen should be a top 10 pick this year in this year's NBA draft. But to compare him to Nikola Jokic, who's probably going to finish with like 3 or 4 MVPs by the time his career is said and done, on top of a championship, maybe more, is kind of asinine to me. But I get it, and I do respect the both of them because I think you're seeing a real deal. Revival is probably too strong of a word, but I'll just say revival of the big man, because remember a few years ago we was talking about the big man was going to be extinct, and you see right now. I mean, you look at my guy Jaren Jackson, you got Alperen Sengun, you're seeing Zach Edey make an impact year one, and you're seeing it like again. The further we go, and the further we say that we advance in this game of basketball, the closer we just get back to traditional basketball. You're always going to need a point guard. You're always going to need wings. You're always going to need big men. So to me, again, I love Derek Queen. I mean, as a Michigan State fan, watching him, in the Big Ten at Maryland, I think he's been everything that Terp fans could have asked for this year and more, to be honest. So, he's definitely worth, the NIL money that he's getting, but I can't compare him to Nikola Jokic, man.
Nah, you can't, because I mean the only thing you say is maybe the physicality underneath the basket, but other than that, that's where the comparison stopped. That's why I said let Derek Queen be Derek Queen, and I definitely think he should be a top 10 pick as well. I agree with you wholeheartedly. You can make a case for him being definitely maybe after Cooper Flag or one of the others, the second, third best freshman in the country. I mean, he could do his thing, man. Will, what do you feel? How do you feel about it, bro?
I mean, I think Derek Queen is definitely having a special freshman season, doing his thing in Maryland. But I agree, man. Like that's the internet for you in this day and age. Somebody has one good game, or a good season, and next thing you know, man, like somebody have a year averaging 8, 9 assists. Next thing you know, they comparing on to Magic Johnson. Like that's how they get down now. But the Joker, he's in a on a tier of his own. To be honest, to me, the only player you can compare to the Joker is a player that played before him, and we talked about that before. That's Arvydas Sabonis. If you're talking about somebody, and that's healthy young Sabonis. But nobody right now, is playing like him. And like, yeah, at the college level, he's an offensive hub, as a big, but is that his role at the next level? Probably not. And like that just sets kids up for failure, because there will be people that don't watch them play, that don't understand the changing of roles, from level to level, and they'll wonder why, when their team, like let's say hypothetically, picks them at number 9, and then he doesn't come in at all league, you know, and they're wondering why. Oh, he's a bust. He's this. He's that. He's not. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's a player that projects to be good in a role, but are we looking at him to be a potential all-star Hall of Famer? No, probably not. To me, like he's closer to, San Antonio Spurs, Boris Diaw,
Mm.
mixed with Big Baby than he is the Joker, because the Joker is a player that is his own thing.
Will, I got a player for you. I got a player for you who I think reminds me of Derek Queen a lot. Al Jefferson.
Hmm.
Al Jefferson.
Hmm.
That's to remind. Al Jefferson was doing that work, man, before he got that injury. He reminds me a lot of Al Jefferson down at that post.
I think Al always had a little more, as far as the in the athletic department. But I get what you're saying. Like he was just like a man child down on the block, and he
Mm-hmm.
could step outside too.
Yeah, yeah. That's how he remind me of that's what I think his game's going to mature and matriculate to is be an Al Jefferson type player, which Al Jefferson was a damn good player for a number of years, man. But y'all, let's get to this Final Four, man. Since Kev is Friend of the show always. Kev, who's your Final Four picks and who's your pick to win it all, good brother?
Yeah, man. So y'all know I told Will this a few days ago. I've only filled out a bracket on my dog Will's bracket challenge group, and I've sent it to a few different ones, but I only filled out one bracket this year. So in that bracket, I have my Spartans going to the Final Four versus St. John's and Rick Pitino, which I think could be a electric matchup if that be the case in San Antonio. I mean, you look at it, we talked about Izzo, Pitino, that would be everything college basketball would love. I actually just seen St. John's actually losing right now to Omaha, but I don't.
Boy, they
Hopefully,
lose. Oh,
yeah, I pray.
bracket gonna be messed up.
Yeah, I pray the year they've been having out there in Jamaica, Queens. I hope it doesn't end like this. I don't think it will. I think
It can't.
yeah, I think they'll snap out of it, and Rick will get them to wake up by halftime at the latest. But so yeah, I got my Spartans versus St. John's. On the other side, I have Houston versus Alabama. And that one is kind of tough to me, but I feel like if it's anybody in that region that can knock off Duke, I think it's Alabama. The only thing that scares me with Alabama and Nate Oates is their physicality, right? They don't really match up with teams physically. They're more of a finesse team, get up and down, play at their own pace, shoot a whole bunch of threes. They got dynamic guard play, but I think for a team to beat Duke, that's kind of what you need. And again, I don't really trust them to get a whole bunch of stops and to match them on the rebounding battle, but I think Bama can do it. It just depends on what Alabama you're going to get. The scary thing with that too is, Grant Nelson's dealing with a knee injury. I don't know how serious it is, but it sounds like Nate Oates is going to give him a minutes restriction. So that kind of, nerves me a little bit just because he was the key, in my opinion, to their Final Four run last year. But I like the Crimson Tide. And then, as I mentioned, Houston, man, Kelvin Sampson, year in and year out, he just produces. And I think this guard play that he has this year between Milos Uzan, LJ Cryer, Emmanuel Sharp is one of the best backcourts that he's had since he's been down there in H-Town. And you look at that front court defensively between Juwan Roberts and JoJo Tugler. I mean, again, defense travels, and I just think those two alone can take you to a lot of different places on that end of the floor and with the rest of them guys. So, again, my Final Four picks is Michigan State versus St. John's, and on the other side is Houston versus Alabama.
Solid, man. Solid picks. Definitely will.
Man, so I got Auburn versus Florida. I got Duke versus Houston. And I think, it ends up with Florida beating Duke, man. I see Houston in there too, but I think it comes down to that. To me, Duke, from a talent standpoint, I hate to say it, but they're probably the best team, just from a pure talent standpoint. And then, Florida, man, like they have talent, but they also, to me, like a lot of, like you can argue that a lot of teams were struggling coming into March, but Florida, they've been ascending, their best basketball at the right time, and those guards, man, shit, they get hot, it's over for you.
Yeah. My Final Four picks is I got Florida, Duke, Michigan State, and I got Houston. I got Duke beating Houston, and I got Florida beating Michigan State, and I got Florida versus Duke, and I got Florida winning the whole thing. And that was a struggle for me because I know Duke has a very, very, very good team, man. And they had the X factor, Cooper Flag. But the only reason why I went against Duke is because they're still kind of young, whereas Florida is more mature and more. Excuse me. And one thing that Duke has problems at times is teams that are very physical at times. They have that problem every now and then. Although I think this Duke team can play physical ball, but I'm talking about from a historical point of view. Sometimes they have teams that you punch them in the mouth, and they're like, "Whoa, wait a minute, what's this?" But I think Florida and Duke's gonna be a tough game, man. That's gonna be a tough game.
Yeah, my bad. My national championship pick, my bad, is Houston.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
Ken.
I just said my Final Four pick. My bad. My national championship game would be Houston versus St. John's. It's tough for me to pick against my Spartans, but I give St. John's the edge there. And I got Houston cutting down the nets in San Antonio, just down the street from where they at.
Hey, Kev, we might have Omaha in the Final Four, man, the way it's looking.
Man, yeah.
That's the hope. This is
Rick got to wake up, man.
This is
Yeah.
destroying everybody.
Listen, JP, it gets to a point, man, where it's like I don't even care about the bracket no more. Like, this is the entertaining. Like you said, best time of
Facts.
the year, man. And, we gonna go all in at this point.
Man, let me tell you something, man. I've had some heartbreaks with the Final Four, so I know. Me being a Georgetown fan, bro, let me tell you something. When Georgetown beat Villanova that time where you winning them, I went in the bathroom and cried for like 10 minutes, man. Seriously. You know what? Something told me that was gonna be it. That was gonna be it for Georgetown for right now as far as titles. They ain't won a title since '84, bro. I mean, they've been in the Final Four back in 2007. But they ain't been like Warrior Paranoia. I mean, I
Hey,
think
hey,
we can get back
Kev,
to that, but bruh, I cried like a baby when Villanova beat them, man. I was
he,
like,
he
it's like my favorite team, one of my favorite teams ever.
man, he thought Austin Freeman and Chris Wright was gonna bring him back to prominence.
But hey,
Oh
bruh, they
man.
all from DC. The DC kids are like, oh, we back. I'm like, Georgetown is back. And you know what's crazy? Back in the day, you thought Georgetown was an HBCU. When I went on that campus when I was like 13, 14, I couldn't believe it. This ain't no damn HBCU. I'm like, what is this? It was crazy, man. And oh, of course, UNLV. I like UNLV with the back in the 90, man. That was disappointing too. They lost to Duke, man. They should have won that game, man. We'll talk about that off the air though, man. Off the thing about what I think what might have happened. But man, UNLV, man, that was I love that squad too, man. And then of course, Will, we had the Camden connection. You know that. So I had to root for them.
Yeah,
And that was a good one, man. But yeah, man, but that Georgetown, man, that was a heartbreaker, man. That one killed me, man. But that's why they call it March Madness, one and done. Ain't no way in hell Villanova should have won that game. They shot 80% from the field in the second half. They couldn't miss shit.
hey, man, at least y'all ain't lose to St. Peter's, man, or Oakland.
Nah,
Man.
Georgetown gave me a scare during the line when Alonzo Mourning and them were there against Princeton. They beat them 49-48. Man, you talking about somebody that was sweating? Oh man. They were
That's
running
brutal.
that back door on them, boy. They was running that back door all night on Georgetown.
That's a hard game, man. The casuals wouldn't have made it.
I almost didn't make it. I almost didn't make it through that game.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
man. But it's the best time of the year, man. March Madness. Anything could happen. Like you said, the 3-game series, you feel different. But it's one and done. You have one bad game, and that's it. You going
Right.
home. It's a
Mm-hmm.
wrap. Speaking of which, I know we're winding down the show, but Kev, real quick. So did California just ended their season? I do believe last week, right?
Yes.
And Roosevelt wound up being the Open champions.
Yes. Um I can't remember who they played. I believe they beat Tyron Stokes and them. Braden Burry's one of the best players in the country. He's legit. I'm not gonna say I grew up with him, but I grew around his family in San Bernardino, and he got offers from Alabama, Kentucky, Arizona. I think he's probably leaning Arizona, but I think it could go Alabama too, though maybe even another school. But yeah, they are just about wrapped up. I think the Open Division Championship was like last weekend. I seen Elijah Arenas got there. They fell short by a few points, but he had one of the all-time greatest individual scoring seasons this year. So definitely
Yeah,
shout to him and what he's going to do at USC next year. But yeah, man, it's been pretty fun this year though.
yeah. Tyron, that's it. That's the question I gotta ask you about Tyron Stokes. Man, first off, Tyron Stokes is explosive, man. He don't get his due. I feel as though he should. I know he's the number one player in
Mhm.
2022, but he's explosive. Now let me ask you this question, because I've been hearing rumblings. You think he's a lock to go to Louisville? Because he's from Louisville originally.
Yep. Yeah, I think the timeline just matched it perfectly. Originally when I heard that news, probably about like 2 years ago, 'cause I feel like it's been in the grapevine for a minute now. But I was kind of concerned just because again, I didn't know what Louisville was going to turn into. At that time, they still had Kenny Payne. You know, so I was like, why would you go there? And they've only won 4 games in the season, with all due respect. But now that I think Louisville's finally getting the infrastructure, I think they're probably going to get Native Met, who's one of the best players in the DMV right now. So again, with all the resources that they got and with the winning that they're doing, I think, you know, getting a hometown kid like that will be essential for Pat Kelsey to continue to build up on Louisville and get them back to prominence. So I think that's going to end up happening. Honestly, I hope.
Wow.
Yeah, they were saying he was going to reclass too, but I think that's out the window now. I hope he doesn't. I'd rather him just stay in the class of 2026. Don't jump to 2025. Just wait another year and then go. And I think it lines up perfectly with what he's trying to do.
Yeah. So you think Native Mint is going to Louisville? Wow, that's
Oh yeah, it's rumblings. It's rumblings. Yeah.
wow.
I mean, with that, you know, shout out to Pablo. You know, Pablo's a Duke fan. He wants everybody to go to Duke, but
Yeah.
I think Duke has too many guys already going there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I can't see it.
They I mean, think about this year's team. They were trying to get Dylan Harper and BJ Edgecombe. They didn't need either one of them. You know what I'm saying? Like at a point it gets kind of greedy in my opinion. But I think for him, I think Louisville would be a great move. And you know, you're looking at Mikael Brown gonna be there too with them. So they definitely gonna bring some studs over there.
I think what's his name? Evans. I think he comes back for Duke too. Wait, what one more? He can really shoot that ball, man. But yeah, Duke got it. Yeah, Pablo. Duke got enough, man. You bring it in the Boozer twins. You got Isaiah Evans coming back, man. Come on, man. Y'all making another Final Four run again, bro. Come on, man. You ain't Nate Emmett to that. Okay, that's unfair, man. That's unfair. You had them.
Pablo dropping them NIL bags off on behalf of Duke, man.
NIL bags off too. That's why he fly all over the country. He got money to come there. But I see Cali, man. I look at the doggone rankings. The top 6 players in the country, they all from Cali. They all from one area, Southern California. I mean, because even now you got Trevor Ariza's son. You got the Bull Crow. You got Stokes, Brandon McCoy. But now you have the other kid that plays with Brandon McCoy. What's his name? Williams? Is that his last name? Or no,
Christian Collins.
Yeah, his dad. I remember his dad, D'Angelo Collins, was a big timer at one time. Yeah, Christian Collins is coming on like out of nowhere, and he's like the top 5, top 6 player in the country now.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. You know, again, you know, Brandon McCoy from Oakland, I definitely want to get in. They love too. He just happened to slide down this way. But the rest of those guys, you mentioned Tyron Stokes from Louisville. The rest of those guys are homegrown products. Taj Ariza is at Westchester, right? Y'all know about the history of Westchester, and he's still uncommitted right now. I'm very curious to see how his recruitment plays out. Same thing with Jason Crow. I think Crow might end up at Kentucky. I think that's a real high probability. I wouldn't stamp it just yet, but I do think it's a great chance just with the connection they got there with Coach Hart out there, another Inglewood native.
Jason Hart.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Oh, yeah. Wow, I didn't know he was on the staff of Kentucky. Okay. Yeah, he might beat a couple Cali kids.
Exactly. So, yeah, man, it's definitely, you know, fun to watch and fun to see all the homegrown talent do their thing.
Yeah, man. I can't wait to see this. What teams should we look out for next year? Of course, Notre Dame. We should look out for with Tyron Stokes, and I guess we should be looking out for Bosco, St. John Bosco next year. I guess those would be the teams. Westchester, I can imagine. So
Westchester. Yeah, those are probably the main ones. Lumley's probably kind of losing a lot of talent this year, but yeah, it's probably just like the main one that we said. You know, Lauderdale, of course, out there in Orange County, they always gonna have talent, but
they always gonna have.
You know, Bosco's gonna be around. There'll be a few. Inglewood is not going nowhere, so yeah, definitely stay tuned for all that next year.
Yeah, man. Well, I guess I should talk about Jersey real quick, but so. We had the state championship games. Too bad the NJSIA got rid of the tournament of champions, man. I don't know what the hell NJSIA be doing half the time, man.
When they do that?
They did that too. Guess what they did that?
Like
they
did 2 years ago.
Yeah, after the 2022 season, and here you had Camden coming back with a strong team, and it was that team, Roselle Catholic coming back. They cost themselves some money. We don't want to get into it. We know what happened with the Camden situation, and unfortunately, something happened with them and their sister school, Wilson, where they both were banned. But the state would have cost themselves some money that year with a rematch of Camden and Roselle Catholic. in a tournament of champions championship game. But let me say this: the best team that I've seen in state this year was Plainfield, man. Plainfield, boy, I mean them boys. They went 8-9 deep, but that they call it Baby Shack. Will
Yeah,
Baby Shack,
Najee Hines, that kid is a
Najee
beast, man.
Hines. Kev, remember that name, Najee Hines? He's about 6'10", 6'11". He weighs about like 280 to 300 pounds, bruh. Monster down in the post, monster. And supposedly Kansas is late in his recruitment right now. But they call him Baby Shaq. Every game this year, he's had a double-double in every game this year. And he had one game in the playoffs where he had 32 and 30. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
he's a problem, bro. He's the most underrated player in the country to me right now.
yeah. And I'm gonna tell you, Sebastian who's a very good player. They got two. The guard, they got Michael Gordon. Gordon, the guard. Man, he's like about 5'10", 5'11". That boy got some hops, man. You
Yeah,
know,
and
he could
the
play.
thing I gotta give Plainfield as opposed to the difference of what's going on with Camden right now, and it's not a slight, but Plainfield that program is homegrown. The coach, the players, they real like Plainfield natives, man. Now Hines, I don't know what's going on. Like, hopefully, I mean, to me, he should just play basketball. But I see he's like a pretty well sought after football player too. But at 6'10", 6'11", man, I'm playing basketball.
Now he's playing basketball. He quit football, from what I understand. He quit.
Okay.
But
He
but
needed.
but but Will, let me tell you something, bruh. Camden High next year, man, that talent they got coming in with Zion Green coming back, and then you got the one of the top 10 eighth graders in the country coming in, James Coleman, and another eighth grader coming in. Man, they just gonna reload for next year, and I
For
hate.
me, I don't. I I gotta see it, man. And what I mean is, I don't know if you remember this kid, but there's a kid, like Kenna Alosi, right? He's a nationally ranked player, bro. He played, I think, on Camden's like summer team like some years ago,
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
and he never ended up playing at the High. I was so like pissed at that because I was like, man, Camden got another one, bro. So I hope like all of these kids end up, going there and staying there. I do, and especially this year, everybody, sat out after transferring and everything. Man, they gonna have a chip on their shoulder after that loss.
Yeah, well, they said they're committed. They have that saw Instagram video. They're committed to coming next year playing for the High. And you had Tory Brooks coming back and a couple other of those players coming back. Man, they going to be super tough next year. But yeah, the kid that you talk about played for Camden, he plays out in Arizona. I forget which
Yeah,
school, one of the prep schools. But he's ranked the number 7 player in the country. If they
yeah,
had
he's
had
a
him this
monster.
year, they'd had him this year. Man, Manasquan, man, they would. First off, they probably been nationally ranked this year if they had him. If he'd have stayed at Camden.
Yeah,
But Man Squad, I guess they got their little lick back, I guess. And from what I understand, the same dude hit that shot last year is the same one that hit the shot against them this year. So but like I said, if Tory Brooks would have played, they wouldn't have beaten Camden. But Tory Brooks was injured, and that's the way the breaks go sometimes.
yep. They beat who was out there.
You got to play. That's it. They say the best availability is availability. And the young man got hurt, unfortunately. But if he'd have played, it would have been a different story. I have no doubts about it. But yeah, man. But yo, y'all, this is a dope show we had, man.
Absolutely.
Of course, we always got to thank Kev for coming on with us, man. The Cali Connect, man. The Cali Connect. So, Kev, man, give your shout outs, bro.
Nah, as always, appreciate y'all, man. You can follow me anywhere at Kev Luke the Great, KEVLUKETHAGREAT. Yeah, appreciate y'all, man, for having me on. Always, always a pleasure. And keep doing what y'all doing, man.
Yes, sir. One of the best basketball minds that's out there, man. Definitely, bruh. Will.
Oh yeah, man. Well, shout out to the month of March. Shout out to the homie Kev Luke, man. Anytime we reach out, he make it happen. Shout out to my co-host JP. You know what I'm saying? Like, bruh, ready to record. Fighting through the technical difficulties, no matter what. You know what I'm saying? JP ready to go, man. The best host out here, man.
Oh, thanks, good brother. Thanks. I give my shouts, of course, to my co-pilot here, Will. This wouldn't be possible without him, man. The best co-host and the best podcast partner that anybody can find, man. Very knowledgeable about anything from the pros to the doggone high school and probably even to the park league. Will can find somebody in the park. Hey, I just found this dude so and so out in the park. But nah, man, shouts to him. And of course, our boy Kev, man. Like I said, the West Coast Connect, man. One of the best basketball minds out there, man. This is why I love doing the podcast with y'all, man, because y'all, like, we all on the same wavelength, man. And man, y'all got some great basketball minds, man. Even for an older dude like me, man, you open me up to so much new things and think about the game differently. I'm not one of them get off my lawn stuck in the Michael Jordan era or my era was the best. Nah, man, we gotta appreciate these players today too, man. And it's just a continuation. That's why I get tired of hearing the same doggone tired debate every time. I'll name a show. Every time you look at First Take. Oh, who's better, Michael or LeBron? It's like, come on, man. They both were great, man. And the thing about it is, I hear people say, oh, LeBron couldn't play back in the 90s. But wait a minute. Didn't LeBron play back in the early 2000s, the mid 2000s? The game was still physical. Wasn't he putting up 27 and 30 a night, 7, 8 rebounds? Did he not go against the Detroit Pistons with Ben Wallace and them and Rasheed and them and beat them when he was 21 years old? What are we talking about? What are we talking about? So, I guess it's a little rant. I just went on real quick, man. Let's celebrate other players out here and other teams, man. Let's celebrate everybody. The game goes beyond Michael and LeBron, man. And it, like I said, those are two timeless players, timeless, all-time greats. I mean, before Michael, you had Oscar Robertson, Wilt, Magic, Bird, Kareem, Elgin Baylor, Bill Russell. I mean, man, you've had some great players, and now after them, who you got? Kevin Durant, Curry, LeBron still playing this era. You got Wemby coming up. You got doggone Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. You got one of the most skilled centers you ever seen in the Joker. You've had Joel Embiid. Curry. You have great players. So, let's just stop the bull crap. Who's the greatest? It's all that stuff there and appreciate players for where they at. That's all I got to say, y'all. So on behalf of me, Will, of course, Kev, we out, y'all. See you next time.
Peace.